Today I'm going to talk about Lost Ships by Ed Greenwood. Now, Spelljammer came out during the days when you weren't allowed to play test stuff. And it really shows with this. This is a collection of junk that what should have been expanded into a full module, but wasn't. They just collected a bunch of it. Some of it's really good and some of it's not. So they have some new rules for spelljamming, like drifting characters and space sickness. And I didn't use any of this really. And then they have some adventure ideas, like people on a planet who want to go up into space. Several of those. This one was kind of interesting, slither around the sun. While in an asteroid bar, the PCs overhear a tipsy and cautious man telling an excited tale of a ship he'd seen in orbit around a certain star. A ship that floats in a protective cloud of beholders. They never leave it, he whispers loudly. What I think is whatever they guard must be pretty special. If only I had me a good ship and some stout sorts of sailing, eh? Then I'd see it. Later in space, the PCs notice a single large dark ship with an unfamiliar type in close orbit around a star. Around it floats a cloud of things, spherical things, things with eye stalks. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting adventure hook, and it's just a short adventure, but or this one, The Death Spirals of Turtle Mage. It's about some magi who make these clockwork spider things that they put on catapults and throw at you. Yeah, so most of them are not so interesting. Pharaoh the Star City is about a space pyramid inhabited by a monk, a mummy, and he has an army of undead to help him run the ship. So he doesn't need to worry about air because they're all undead. But most of these are not so interesting. I'm going to kind of skip past them. Oh, here's an interesting one. The giants jump up. PCs entering a new region of space unwittingly pass near a large world dominated by evil giants. From a tiny moon, the fire giants bound up in orbit to attack intruders. Each giant carries enough air to stay for 2 to 20 rounds and brings throwing rocks, a long line tied to its waist to allow it to climb back to the moon, and a second shorter line with a grapple hook for snagging ships, drifting beings, and so on. Well, that's kind of an interesting one. But yeah, that's just a paragraph, that should have been a whole module. But the most interesting thing for me was the new ships. So here's the Angel ship, and in the wings it's got little passages. This is a kobold ship. Part of the Spelljammer lore was that recently the elves fought a war and drove the humanoids out of space. So you might find this is a derelict ship somewhere. And the barge of Ptah. It's a 60-ton ship, and it's basically an ancient Egyptian-style ship. So, pretty interesting. Okay, here's the Bloatfly ship. This is the ship in that's guarded by the beholders. And it's got all these ballista in addition to the beholders. Okay, cargo barge. It's just a barge. It's a ship built by humans, used by other races. Death Glory. That's on the other page. This is a gnomish ship. Unusual. Okay. One of my beefs with this book is it has the floor plans of the ships on a different page than the description. The eel ship is built by some unknown race, probably insectoid. It's used by humans now. Here's the pyramid ship that the pharaoh and his undead army inhabit. Got lots of ballistae and catapults and multiple levels. The Goblin Blade. This is a goblin ship. It's just a little 2-ton ship, but it's got a ballista and a ram, so you can use this little tiny ship to ram with. It's like a heavy fighter ram ship. The Lamprey ship is another ship built by that strange insectoid race, now used by humans. Ogre Mammoth. This is a derelict ship you might find. It was used by ogres before they were driven from space. The Porcupine ship is a goblin ship that was used by them before they were driven from space. And what's interesting, if you go into the side view, if I can get it to focus, there's all these platforms connected by rope bridges inside it. Okay, now the Scorpion ship, that's an orc ship that is found as a derelict. It was used by orcs before they were driven from space. One of the interesting things, the gravity plane curves with the tail. Okay, the striped ship is a ship it's just a little 30-ton ship that's used by humans and halflings. The skeleton ship. Sometimes liches will attach a space helm to the skeleton of some large creature and attach weapons and go through space in that. The Space Leviathan is too big to be moved by a helm. It was used by some vanished alien race. It's just a mystery. Would have been nice if there had been a module that explained all this. Red Eyes, that's a sphere that's mildly interesting, but only got a little bar to describe it. There's the Turtle ship. And the Swan ship. This is a halfling ship. Seems like it ought to be an elf ship. But the style of the elf ships is interesting. The turtle ship is a lizard man ship, but it's only a little 40-ton ship. Seems like it ought to be a big ship. Okay, now the Viper ship is a human ship here. And here's the wreck boat, which is just a little ship. It's used by humans. And there's some new spells, like Air Sphere to create some temporary air. Spark Burst allows you to set fire to the phlogiston. There's a Disable Helm spell. Flyfield allows you to fly the ship temporarily if you don't have a helm. Collapse Portal makes the portal between the spheres collapse. And there's a few pieces of new equipment. Nothing really interesting. There's some living beings like air slugs, glow moss, starshine. There's some new creatures. I like the Undead Beholder, the Beholder Eater, a Flow Barnacle, Archlich. There's an Archlich playing a harp for people, and they're scared of that. Wonder Seeker. That's just people who roam space looking for entertainment. Neogi Undead Old Master. Yeah, one of the earlier scenarios about a ship on a planet was that a ship crashes and it's got this undead Neogi Old Master and some more Neogi, and you have to fight the other Neogi, and then the undead Old Master escapes and becomes a villain hiding in the shadows in your world, and that could be interesting for a long-term plot. Seraphim, a watcher. There's a watcher on a ship, likes to go around and look at things. Shadow Sponge that uses up the air on your ship. Here's one devouring a ship. Space Worm. And a Tinkerer. Just wanders around and does stuff. So, here, this is a book of collected junk that should have been expanded into modules, and instead they just went ahead and published it.